Buy on MTG. Construct your deck. Command your board. Conquer the table.
Hello everybody in the wide world of web. This is Rob and it's friends with Buy on MTG. We're starting out our Commander Precon series. So this is the Duskmourn Precons, 100% factory, as is with the allotted face commander. I'm going to be playing Aminatou Veiled Piercer. You guys know it's in the deck list because it's the Precon. Jason?
Hi, my name is Jason, and I will be playing Zamone and doing all the face down shenanigans.
Hey, I'm Seth. I'm going to be playing Valgavoth. This is a Rakdos group slug deck.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everyone, I'm James. I'm playing Winter, the cynical opportunist. Essentially, the Death Toll Precon, and we're just going to try and do Golgari Reanimator.
Nice. So, we tried to... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
It's too late now. You've ruined it.
I can't believe you've done this!
We all kind of mulliganed a little bit liberally to make sure that we got good playable hands, so that way it's a fun interactive game. We rolled dice. I'm on the play. So, any pre-game actions? Yeah, right?
Let me double check.
Sorry,
All right. Here we go.
Rob is player one. He starts out with a Thriving Moor, naming white and passing the turn to Jason. Jason plays a Quandrix Campus, tapped, and passes to Seth. Seth plays a Spine Rock Knoll, triggering Hideaway 4, looks at the top 4, selects a card, and then passes to James. On James's turn, he draws, plays a Swamp, taps it for a Stitcher Supplier, milling 3. Passing the turn to Rob, he draws for turn, plays an Island, taps for 2, and plays an Arcane Signet. Passing the turn to Jason, Jason draws, plays a Forest, taps it for a Soul Ring. Jason pays 2 with the Soul Ring and plays a Morph. Funny enough, had to go to the token section because the Precon, although it has morphs in it, it didn't come with a morph token. Passing the turn to Seth, he draws and plays a Swamp. Seth taps for 2 and plays a Rakdos Signet, passing the turn to James. James draws for turn, plays a Tainted Wood. Taps for 2, plays a Rampant Growth, goes and finds a Forest. James moves to combat for first blood and hits Seth right in the face. Passing the turn to Rob, untap upkeep draw for turn, plays an Island, taps for 4 for a Solemn Simulacrum, finding a Plains, passing the turn to Jason. On Jason's turn, he taps for 4, playing his commander, and then plays a Reliquary Tower, triggering the commander to manifest Dread for 2, playing a Manifest and binning an Arcane Signet. Jason moves to combat, swinging the Morph at James for 2, and then passing the turn to Seth. On Seth's turn, he untaps, draws, plays a Shivan Gorge for turn, taps for 4, and copies Rob by playing his own Solemn Simulacrum. He finds the Swamp and then passes the turn to James. James goes through beginning phase and plays a Dark Moss Bridge tapped. He then taps for 3, playing Harrow, sacrificing the Dark Moss Bridge, finding a Forest and a Swamp, then tapping the 2 for a Grimflayer. Checking graveyard, he has 5 different types of cards, so he has Delirium online, passing the turn to Rob. Rob draws for turn, taps for 4, bringing his commander out, and then plays an Arcane Sanctum tapped and passes the turn to Jason. Jason untaps and draws, plays an Island, triggering the commander, Manifest Dread 2. Jason pays 5 for a Primordial Mist. Jason moves to his end step, manifesting the top card with Primordial Mist and passing the turn to Seth. Seth untaps and draws for turn, plays a Mountain, taps for 2, playing a Mind Stone. Seth then taps for 4 to bring out his commander, Valgavoth. Little bit of table talk, Seth offers the trade for Sad Robots with Rob so they can both draw. He moves to combat, swings, and Rob obliges. Passing the turn to James, he untaps and draws for turn. James plays a Forest, taps for 4, playing his commander, Winter, Cynical Opportunist. James moves to combat, swings a Grimflayer at Seth, surveilling 3. Seth elects to not block and takes the 4 damage. James moves to end step, elects to not use his commander, and passes the turn to Rob. On Rob's turn, he untap on his upkeep his commander triggers, he surveils 2 and bins them both, then draws for turn. Taps for 3 and plays Dusty Parlor. He then pays to unlock the other side, Secret Arcade, passing the turn to Jason. Jason untap upkeeps and draws for turn. Rob realizes he forgot to play his land for turn, and the table's okay with him putting the land down now. Jason plays his land for turn, triggering the commander, binning a Forest and making another Manifest. Jason uses the second ability on Primordial Mist to exile a face-down permanent, and he can play that card this turn. He reveals a Cultivate, putting a land into play, triggering his commander and another land into his hand. James initiates a little bit of table talk, pointing out that Jason has 2 of the 3 pieces of that deck completely online, and starts worrying about if he's going to completely pop off. Calls a ceasefire with Seth and elects to try and work on Jason a little bit. The land entering the battlefield triggers Jason's commander's second ability, allowing him to turn face up a face down card, revealing a Growing Dread, triggering, making him manifest Dread again, and now in the future, anything turn faced up gets a +1 counter. Jason then taps for 3 and plays a Yavimaya Elder. Jason moves to his end step, triggers Primordial Mist, manifests the top card, and passes to Seth. Seth untaps and draws for turn. Assesses the board a little bit, taps for 4, and plays a Doomscourge. Doomscourge ETB more or less just goads the rest of the table. He then moves to combat and swings Valgavoth, his commander, at Jason for 4. Jason has no flyers, so he takes 4 commander. Feeling good with his turn, he passes to James. James untaps and draws for turn. Jason is suspiciously counting the amount of mana he has in play. James taps for 6, plays Demonic Covenant. Moving to combat, Seth has forced interaction with Doomscourge. James assesses the table and elects to full swing at Rob, triggering his commander. James mills for 3 with his commander's attack trigger. Rob blocks the Stitcher Supplier with Aminatu, killing it, causing James to mill 3 more. Rob takes 2 commander damage and 4 additional from the Grimflayer. A creature dying triggers Seth's Doom Scour, so each opponent's going to lose a life and Seth is going to gain a life. James losing a life on his turn is going to trigger Seth's Valgavoth, so he's going to get to draw a card and put a +1 counter on Valgavoth. James moves to his end step, using his commander's second ability, exiling 4 card types, of which was a Noxious Gearhulk, so that is what he is going to elect to put onto the battlefield, targeting Jason's commander. Noxious Gearhulk is going to enter with a finality counter on it. He targeted Jason's commander, so it kills Jason's commander, and he gains life equal to the toughness, so 3. Additionally, on James's end step, Demonic Covenant is going to trigger to make him a 5/5 flying demon. He mills 2, and the cards do not match, so he gets to keep the Covenant. Passing the turn to Rob, Rob untaps on his upkeep, surveils 2, bends both of them, draws for turn. Rob taps for 5, attempting to time wipe, targeting Aminatu to bounce back to his hand. In response, Seth activates his Shiving Gorge to do 1 damage to each opponent, which is going to trigger Valgavoth to allow him to draw a card and put a +1 counter on it. No further responses, so Aminatu is returned to Rob's hand and all creatures are destroyed, which triggers Yavimaya Elder, allowing Jason to get 2 basics. Rob plays a Thriving Island as his land for turn, naming black. No further actions, he passes the turn to Jason. Jason untaps, draws for turn. Jason plays Force for turn. Jason taps for a comfortable 8, playing Sandworm Convergence. Jason moves to his end step, triggering Sandworm Convergence as well as Primordial Mist, passing the turn to Seth. Untap, draw for turn, plays a Dragon Skull Summit as his land. Seth taps for 6 and runs Valgavoth back out on the table. Then taps for 2 more and runs out a Stormfist Crusader. Passing the turn to James, James untap, draws for turn. James taps for 4 and brings out his very own Sad Robot. That's the 3rd one we've seen this game. ETB triggers, he finds a swamp. James moves to end step, triggering Demonic Covenant, making a 5/5 demon, milling 2 cards. They don't match, so he gets to keep the Covenant, passing the turn to Rob. Rob untap upkeep, draws for turn. Rob plays a command tower, taps for 4, brings Aminatu back out. Rob taps for 5 to start to play a creature, and then it dawns on him there is an infinite combo in this pre-constructed deck. Playing Ondu Spirit Dancer, entering the battlefield as an enchantment due to Secret Arcade. When Ondu Spirit Dancer triggers, it can make a copy of itself. With the copy entering the battlefield as an enchantment due to Secret Arcade, it can once again make a copy of itself. You can repeat this process an infinite amount of times, and due to it being a May ability, this does not trigger infinitely, so Rob elects to make a 3 million Ondu Spirit Dancers, 1 million for each opponent. The table goes back and forth a little bit because we were confused that there was an infinite combo in the pre-constructed deck. We debate over it, and then we end up going to the Google to confirm Rob's assumptions. We hem and haw over it for a few more seconds, and we all agree that's how it works, so we pass turn to Jason. Jason untaps and draws for turn. Jason taps for 6, brings Zimone back out. Plays a forest, triggering Zimone. Jason pays for 3 to flip the Manifest Glitch Interpreter over. Jason couldn't find an answer, so he moves to his end step, triggering Primordial Mist, making a Manifest, and Sandwarp Convergent to make another worm. Passing the turn to Seth. On Seth's upkeep, Stormfist triggers, so everybody loses a life and draws a card. Seth, digging for an answer, taps for 2, plays a Sign in Blood. Didn't find an answer, so he cracks the Mind Stone to draw another card. Realizing Willie is tall enough and his little dog nose is peeking up at the bottom of the camera. Seth couldn't find an actual board wipe. He did find a Massacre Worm, but unfortunately, Rob's 3 million creatures are 3/3, so Massacre Worm is not the answer. That being said, Seth taps for 4 and puts out a Mogus God of Slaughter into the battlefield. Rob makes a joke about none of his creatures being flyers, so Seth moves to combat and swings Valgavoth at Rob's face for 4 commander damage. Passing the turn to James, James untap, upkeeps, draws for turn. Moog is triggered to James, so he sacrifices Sad Robot, drawing a card. James plays a force for turn. James pays 5, brings out Obnixilis Reignited. +1s to draw a card, digging for an answer. James lost a life on his turn, so that's going to trigger Seth's Valgavoth, so he's going to get a +1 counter and draw a card. Still not finding an answer, James pays for 2 and casts Grisly Salvage. James moves to his end step, reveals 2 cards off of Demonic Covenant, and unfortunately, one of them was the Deluge of Doom, the board wipe he was looking for the entire time. Also on James's end step, Seth elects to send a message by tapping for 2 to Infernal Grasp Rob's Aminatu. Passing the turn to Rob, Rob untaps, upkeep. On his upkeep, Mogus is going to trigger, Rob sacrifices a creature, draws for turn. Rob moves straight to combat, swinging 1 million Ondu Spirit Dancers at each opponent. Everybody shakes and good game. Hey everybody, it's Rob with Bion MTG doing a quick recap from the game post-editing. Overall, had a ton of fun. Everybody had a blast. Somewhat surprised that there was an infinite loop within the deck, but it's certainly not the first time that it's happened. And worst case scenario, when somebody infinite combos, means you get to shuffle up and play another game. I do want to show a really cool resource though, in case you are unaware. So if I go over here, I'm going to go ahead and get the deck list for this precon and go to this website called commanderspellbook.com. Really neat thing about it, you can paste the deck list within it, submit the URL, and it will bring up the whole deck list, the commander, and it will show you any combo that's within the deck. It shows the one that's in there. It also shows you 12 additional potential combos. So it says, hey, if you stuck in Gremlin Tamer, you could also do this. Or if you stuck on Archons of Sun's Grace, you could also do this. It even breaks it down to the point where it's like, hey, if you add this 4th color, then you could also do that. Or if you add this 5th color, it could also do that, which is kind of neat. Just a really cool resource. If you have not used Commander Spellbook, go ahead and check it out. Run your deck through it. See what kind of combos are in there, because you would be surprised. You can accidentally combo in a multitude of different ways, especially if you built a little bit more streamlined and high-power deck. But overall, everybody had a blast. Unfortunately, I won, so I only get 5 cards to upgrade. But I will get 5, and everybody else gets 10 cards. And between now and next gameplay, we'll go ahead and upgrade our decks. We'll update the Moxfield listings. And I hope everybody enjoyed the game. And we're certainly going to keep making them as long as you keep watching them. I'm Rob. This is Bion MTG. Good luck and have fun.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below.